Amazon's Luna is here, but should Microsoft be worried? The game streaming wars are getting spicy. We have Microsoft's xCloud, or cloud gaming. We have Stadia from Google. And today we're going to be talking about Luna from Amazon. They are sending out kind of like early access invitations that if you sign up on their website, check your inbox because you may, if you're lucky, have gotten into the service. I am one of those people and I was able to get early access, but it's kind of early-ish access because you get a 7-day trial and then Amazon's going to start hitting your credit card up for about $6 a month if you maintain the service. So what I'm going to intend to do here is to show you a first look at Luna and how it compares to, say, xCloud and Stadia. And while most of the footage, actually all the footage, is of Luna, I have used Stadia quite a bit, which a controller right here, and I've used xCloud quite a bit as well. And so this comparison is going to be talking about putting it into reference, like, how does Luna stack up to what Microsoft and Google have done. So let's just dive into the footage because that's probably what you're going to see here. Keep in mind a couple of things because I'm going to be talking over this. Is that one, you have to show the controller and the screen at the same time. So I can't do a screen capture because you need to be able to see the controller because latency input is a big thing. And on the PC version, there's no audio because there's no easy way to do it. And plus it just doesn't sound great. On the iOS version, there is audio, but again, it's being recorded through the camera. So just keep all that in mind as you are watching this. So here you go. This is how it works. So Luna is an app, if you will, but it can also run in the browser. Now, I am actually running this through the app, but I'm pretty sure it's just spoofing as a web page. And what happens here is I have my Xbox controller hardwired into my PC, and I'm going to be playing Red out here, which is a racing game. And so once you get the app or whatever you navigate to the website up and running, it's really just kind of a lot like Stadia. You just pick a game, it starts playing, and then it streams down to your PC from the cloud, depending on where that is. It could be nearby, it could be far away, but either way, the idea here is that you just pick a game, start playing, and that's it. And so a couple things to be watching here. One is the quality is okay. It's definitely a better experience on the PC than it is on iOS, and we will get to iOS in the second half of this video. But be paying attention to things like the response time from the thumb inputs. You can see the button inputs. Also, other things too is the games load relatively quickly. And that's to be expected because, again, you're just streaming things from the cloud. You're not actually playing them fully locally. And you can see the game starting to kind of load up here. And the graphics, candidly, are fine. Like, if you're going into the streaming world, I think you kind of have the expectation that you're not going to be getting the best of the best experience, because if you wanted the best of the best, well, you'd either be buying a super high-end PC and running like an RTX 3090 or something like that, or you'd be using a console for that dedicated experience. But as you can see here, this game works pretty well. Now, full transparency, I'm terrible at racing games, and so you'll see me smash into the walls, and I've honestly never even played this game right up until I started playing this. But you can see it does work. There's not the latency on this particular game was not bad, and actually, I'd actually even say that it's pretty good. Like, this is certainly doable, this particular game. We'll look at some other games where it's not so good later, but this experience right here is something I think would be good for somebody who's just really casually into gaming and just wants to play on occasion or whatever. Which brings us to the business model of Luna. I think Luna and xCloud do it right. There's a caveat to that as well, where you just pay a monthly fee and then you have a library of games that you can access and then just go play them. Unlike Stadia, which can be free, but they also do have a paid tier where you then go buy the game on that service and then you can only play that game. I think that old style model is not really the future. I think the sort of Netflix of gaming, if you will, the xCloud, the Luna models are absolutely the route that people are going to want to go. I think that's the long-tailed future, realistically. But I think Stadia had to go into the model they did just to get up and running, because one of the big criticisms of Luna right now is there's just not a lot of games I really want to play. This one looked fun. There's another racing game that I tried too, and then there's also Metro Exodus, which we will show here in a second. But the library on Luna is admittedly very weak, and I think that's where Microsoft has a big advantage because they have a huge library and it's only growing, and they just spent a whole bunch of money. Now, let's go to Metro here, and you can see the latency here is significantly more noticeable than what is in games, or the racing game that I just played. If you're also wondering why XSplit is open and they're recording my monitor, I was trying to keep track of the performance stats on my machine, and the TLDR of that is like there's no noticeable impact on your machine. Those stats are on another machine. I was trying to record it and sync it up, but didn't work too well for a video like this. but I could see that, hey, there's no big noticeable bump. Now you can watch, there are going to be some like weird oddities here playing online. You can see the controlling, it works. It's like, it's not great. Like, I think hardcore gamers would be very annoyed by this experience playing online. But watch what happens here in a little bit when I'm fighting some of the monsters, because you'll see the game just kind of like forgets what's going on. I think it's the scene after this. And again, here I'm just trying to light some of the stuff on fire just to see how the feedback is and the sensitivity of the game responding to my inputs as I am walking around here. This is very early on in the game, by the way, because there's no game save transfers or anything like that. So you're starting fresh. At least that's the way I am doing it here for this particular demo. But again, you can see me walking around, and if you look at the thumbsticks left and right, it's not snappy enough to be, I don't want to say fun, but to be like, there's no way you could play Luna online in any competitive arena and feel comfortable that you are going to have the same advantage as anybody else. But watch what happens here when I fight some of these monsters. Like some of the cutscenes here are a little like glitchy between the different modes. You'll see one right here, I believe. Yep. And then it's like the monster's just dead. He's just sitting there. Like, that was a little weird. Like, it's like some frames were missing or something like that. And I believe there's another one here. Like, the fighting just doesn't feel organic. It just doesn't feel like satisfying that you might get, say, playing it natively on a PC or anything else, just because there's just that hint of lag, just a hint of it. And it doesn't work, I guess is what I'm saying here. Clearly, some people are going to argue and say, hey, look, this actually looks fine. And for somebody who just wants to pick it up and maybe sample this game, I think it's fine. But for somebody who's looking to play through the title and wants to get that best experience, Luna is not it. And candidly, Stadia is not it. And I don't think you would be doing that on xCloud either. But you can just see some of the experience here of what it's like to play on the PC with Luna, with a controller that is hardwired in. Keep in mind, Amazon does sell a controller that connects directly to your router, which they claim, and much like Google does, is that it will, in fact, actually reduce the latency in some of that input. I don't have one of those. It's another $50, and I really didn't want to spend another $50 on another controller for a service I'm probably not going to keep. But that's just keep that in mind. Now, this is on the iOS version, which is interesting here. Ignore this. You have to fill a survey out after every game, and I forgot to do it. But this is how it works. This is the app, in quotations. What you do is you go to the Amazon website, you go to Luna, and it tells you have to hit the share button, and then hit add to, I think it's desktop or your home screen or whatever they call it. And then you click that little icon, and this is the experience that opens up. And you can see just browsing the modest game library, if you will, on iOS. And this is through a Bluetooth controller on my iPhone that is connected to, obviously, the internet here. I'm not using LTE or anything like that. And so I'll adjust the screen brightness here. This will make things just a little bit easier to see. There you go. So now this is me playing the same racing game on iOS. You can obviously hear the audio now. And the experience, there's more lag here, and that is most likely because I'm using Bluetooth over a wireless connection, my home Wi-Fi. The PC was everything wired, and so this is kind of like the opposite experience that you get. But this, I will admit that this experience isn't too bad. Like, if this is like the most casual of casual, like if you're sitting on the couch and you really just want to play a racing game, I think you would be okay with this experience. It's fine at the end of the day, but it's not, again, competitive for single player. Like I always talk about xCloud with Ori, and that's the type of experience I think Luna will do okay eventually with as well. And you'll see me race through here. Unfortunately, I don't have it cut, so we'll just watch through all of this, and you can listen to the background music if you want. But the other thing I do want to hit on here is I think that Microsoft has a better just business model. Well, I talked about how I think Amazon and Microsoft are going the right way. We have a library of games. My challenge right now with all of these streaming services, not particularly in Luna or whatever, you'll see what I'm saying here, is that game streaming is a great feature right now, but it's not a great product, right? It's nice that I have it included in Game Pass because I'm not really paying for cloud gaming. It's just there. When you come to Luna or Stadia, you are explicitly paying for this game streaming service. And to me, I don't feel like it's quite there yet. Honestly, either Stadia or on Amazon, because I don't think people who their target market really want this as the only product. Like, they need more. Like, this would be a great add-on in the Amazon Prime bundle, right? I'm already paying for Prime to get 2-day shipping. If they toss this in there, then this would be a home run. But you can also see there was definitely some frame rate issue that I was just experiencing on the iPhone. Definitely see a lot more artifacting and not latency, but the slowdown of frames when you are playing on a phone as compared to the PC. And I attribute it, again, to potentially the Wi-Fi, although I have pretty solid Wi-Fi at home, but again, it's a whole wireless setup. That being said, I think Microsoft has the better business model. I think Amazon is going to beat Stadia in their market just because of the business model they are taking. The question is going to be how long Stadia and Luna are willing to keep fighting at it and how much they're willing to spend. Amazon has already shown that they're willing to build up some game studios, although they did just cancel a major title. So we've got to wait and see if they're truly going to be doing that. This is one of the reasons why I think Microsoft maybe bought Bethesda, is to keep it away from, again, Google and Amazon. So here you can see me playing Metro, and I will be very candid that I would not recommend this experience to really anybody. Metro on here was it was less satisfying from the PC, which I found kind of hard to believe because I didn't think it was that great on the PC. But on the mobile device, it was, again, just not great. You'll see some visual hiccups here once I start fighting some of the monsters. So just keep that in mind. Just something to pay attention to, if you will, if I could speak. Like, what just happened right there? Like, it just kind of, like, the whole game just lost it. And then all of a sudden I'm getting attacked from behind, and yeah, like, there's no way to feel confident that you're going to get a good experience playing a whole title from front to back on this type of a setup. I think it may be potentially best like on the couch, but I wouldn't even eventually play this game. I do play a tennis game after this, which I do think has the best experience of anything that I played on Luna. It's something that actually I could recommend, which you will see here in just a minute or two. But again, look at the latency input from the controller. Maybe someday I will do this test again with the actual Luna controller once they get a little bit more robust library. But again, you only get a 7-day trial, and that's why I'm a little bit hard on Amazon right now, is that this isn't some preview thing that is going to be sitting there and it's like, okay, over the next 7 months, they're going to improve it and make it better, which they might. But during the preview stage, they're still charging you money. Now, look at this experience. This is actually, I had a decent amount of fun playing this. I'm not a huge tennis fan. Like, I watch tennis, but I don't play it. And this actually worked out pretty well. And so this is just, again, a tennis game. And this experience was actually pretty good. Chris Capicell, if you're watching, and I know you're a huge tennis fan, that's the Microsoft CMO, by the way. I doubt he's watching. But anyways, he loves tennis, and this is actually a decent experience, but I don't see him playing it on Luna. So this is one scenario that I could actually recommend is in this particular game, not so much the FPS. Racing games, okay. This game's pretty good. FPS, again, not good. And so that has been kind of like the overarching theme here, is that everything just kind of works, but it's not great. And my problem is, like I was just hinting at, is that Amazon is going to be charging money for this. And so that to me is not good, because that means that they're saying, hey, this is a retail product, because they're not that companies should have to give away everything for free. But if you're going to charge people $6, like, it needs to be better than what Microsoft is charging for Game Pass Ultimate and what Google is charging better for Stadia. And I don't think that's true. And so that is my biggest issue with Lumia. That's a Microsoft Windows Phone thing. Luna right now is that it's in a preview, but it's not in a preview, and they're charging you money for it, and it's not that great of an experience. So right now, if you were thinking, maybe I should give Luna a try, you should. You've got 7 days to try it out, and I think it's worthwhile. You can go buy that $50 controller if you really want. Me personally, I would not go down that route. I would honestly invest more. I would pay for the Game Pass Ultimate if you're in an Xbox camp. Stadia maybe, but honestly, game streaming is a good feature. It's just not a great product yet.